controls that. We can't handle what happens at any other stadium at 1 o'clock today. But we can handle what happens here. You play tough, you play smart, you play together, and you play physical. Too much at stake. It's our opportunity, baby. We control the next 3 hours.
And momentum going into the playoffs for the Baltimore Ravens on a day that will find the temperature dropping as we go along. Single-digit winds, rain this morning, tapering off here this afternoon. Ravens won the flip of the coin. They have deferred, so they're going to kick off. And here is Billy Cundiff, who will boot it. He's going to the Pro Bowl. He leads the NFL in touchbacks. And we've got the return men, Juan Cosby on the left. And they've got Bernard Scott on the right, or deep. You think there'll be a lot of scoring today? What kind of game do you think we're going to see?
I think both teams come in wanting to pound the rock, but depending on what they get from the defense, if you stack the box with 8 defenders, you have to put the ball in the air.
And away we go in the final regular season weekend. To a knee, Bernard Scott. Another touchback, number 39 by Cundiff. And that takes us to the Cincinnati Bengal offense and their quarterback, who has been playing well of late, Carson Palmer. Last week's performance, a terrific one. Marvin Lewis said he had as good a game as he's played for the Bengals against the Chargers last week.
For Carson Palmer, it's all about trust in his wide receivers and the weapons around him. He felt like the young kids did very well last week, didn't put a lot on their plate. There's going to be more expected of these receivers today.
Here's Shipley, a 3 wide receiver set. 1st and 10 from the 20 for Carson Palmer. Outside he goes, looking for Simpson. The coverage by Carr. And let's take a look at the offensive line for Palmer and the Bengals. Andrew Whitworth has played like a Pro Bowl player, although he is not going. He has had a terrific season once again. And Cedric Benson, the running back, has gone over 1,000 yards once again for this Cincinnati team. Right now he's paired in the backfield with fullback Chris Kessler. It is 2nd down and 10. Benson, big hole. Ray Lewis will bring him down about the 27-yard line. A burst of 7 yards right there for the former high pick out of Texas for Chicago. Well, we know that Nada is going to the Pro Bowl. Redding probably could too. He's had a terrific season, especially the last month on the defensive line for the Baltimore Ravens. Suggs is going to the Pro Bowl. Lewis is going to the Pro Bowl. Jarrett Johnson has played at that level. Terrific linebackers right across left to right. You see the secondary. Ed Reed will be making his 7th appearance in Honolulu. He had 2 interceptions a week ago. It is 3rd and a long 2. Going deep, he's looking for Caldwell. Intercepted! Who else? Who else? Ed Reed. Brought down by Chase Kaufman. 5-yard return. Reed has now got 7 interceptions in his last 10 games.
Well, we talk about trusting the wide receivers. Carson Palmer's going to trust that Andre Caldwell comes down with this ball, but if it's tipped, and if it's an overthrow, and if it's thrown to the inside of the field, Ed Reed will come down with it. Chris Carr was initially on the coverage. This ball, I believe, has to be thrown further to the boundary on that outside shoulder. If it drifts inside, that's what allowed Carr to make a play on it. And then tips and overthrows, you always have to come down with it when you're playing in the secondary.
Here's a 1st and 10 handoff. Rice slithering his way. It looks like Keith Rivers makes the stop. After a gain of 7 on the play up to the 47-yard line, Joe Flacco with a career-low 9 interceptions. Interestingly enough, he threw 4 of them week 2 against this Cincinnati defense.
He's thrown 8 interceptions in his last 3 games against the Cincinnati Bengals, all losses. And so if you're Joe Flacco, you know your team's going into the postseason, but you have to begin to play with greater momentum.
Rick Gaten's on the 2nd and 2. Rice has got the 1st down. And finally brought down from behind by Leon Hall. The gain takes him down to the 44-yard line of Cincinnati. Pickup of 8. 1st down. Pro Bowl alternate Michael Orr playing the left tackle. And in the backfield, as many people have said, the key to stopping this Baltimore team is stopping Ray Rice. He's already put his fingerprints early on this game.
Well, Ray Rice is a guy, he's very formidable. We talk about the power inside running game, but he can catch it coming out of the backfield, he usually makes the first defender miss.
Heap starting today for the first time in a month. McGahee in the backfield, first down and 10. Stallworth is in. Willis McGahee wrapped up and taken down by Dhani Jones. Loss of a yard, back to the 46 as we take you to New York and James Brown.
Kevin and Solomon Steelers with the win clinched the AFC North and a first-round bye after a Troy Polamalu pick. First play afterwards, Roethlisberger up top, 56 yards to Mike Wallace. Steelers out early, 7-0 over the Browns. Back to Kevin Harlan and Solomon Wilcox.
It's Ed Reed here as Polamalu for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
wow.
Ed Reed's trying to set the table for Joe Flacco in the same way Polamalu did for Roethlisberger.
Flea flicker, and they go to the tight end. Heap with a blocker ahead, and Mason, and Grubbs, and Bolden all the way down to the 9. A catch and run of 37 yards by Heap. First and goal, Baltimore.
Oh, it's a cleverly disguised tight end screen, and watch, there's Flacco there, and watch him leak out. And look at the blocking out front, and let's see how many orange jerseys can separate and make a tackle. And there's a purple jersey for every orange hat in that Cincinnati Bengals secondary. Excellent blocking for Todd Heap.
Rice is back in, first and goal at the 9. And he was dragging Robert Gathers with him for a gain of 3, and they'll put him at about the 6-yard line for the Baltimore Ravens. Here's the defense now. Boy, they've been killed by injuries. Pecco has lasted. He anchors that line. Gathers has started every game this season. He just made the tackle right there. Dhani Jones has led the team in tackles 3 consecutive seasons. The bookend young players, Maualuga along with Rivers. And the secondary. And we know that Jonathan Joseph will be starting today, battling a high ankle sprain most of the season. Interception by Palmer. Flacco is taking his team down to a 2nd down and goal at the 6. Rice remains. He's brought down by Rivers. Nice play indeed. And there'll be a loss of about a half-yard on the play. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
Yeah, but they are not going to get away from giving the ball to Ray Rice, particularly in this area of the field, down inside the red zone. Rivers comes off and is able to get penetration, making the tackle behind the line of scrimmage. So you have to give the Bengals a little bit credit. They talked about it amongst the Baltimore Ravens. One of the reasons why they've lost 3 consecutive games to the Bengals, they feel like they have not been able to crack the code of Mike Zimmer's defense. Felt like the defense simply outplayed this Baltimore Ravens offense.
Rice is wide atop your screen. 3rd and goal at the 7. Look at the time. Here they come. Chasing them is Atkins. Out of the end zone. Rice was gone. There's a flag. They had Roy Williams over there. I wonder if it was against Rice. On that 3rd and goal at the 7, the 5-time Pro Bowler for the Dallas Cowboys. Roy Williams. It is Rice. Pete Morelli is our referee today. Very solid crew here in Baltimore as they talk with Marvin Lewis.
Pass interference, number 27, the offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Cincinnati Bengals defense do a really good job in coverage, initial pressure on Joe Flacco. And doesn't Flacco kind of surprise you for a guy who's 6'6", 240, his mobility and how he was able to extend the play? And Ray Rice gets the penalty there, but Ravens going to come away with points off a turnover. I think the one thing Carson Palmer has to do is not only protect the ball, you got to keep it out of the hands of Ed Reed.
So here's Billy Cundiff, who will be trying a 25-yard field goal. This drive was set up on an interception of Palmer by Ed Reed. And the Ravens have cashed in with the field goal. 10-10 to play in the first. Huge play as Todd Heap caught one and ran one for 37 yards, setting up the field goal. Baltimore's defense, Solomon, has been a top 10 defense all season long, even when Reed was injured and was coming back from that hip surgery.
Since Ed Reed and Ray Lewis have joined the Baltimore Ravens, no defense has taken the ball away more and helped their offense more than these 2 players and more than this defense here in Baltimore. That's what they do. They create turnover.
Ray Lewis going to his 12th Pro Bowl. Here's the ensuing kickoff. This will not be a touchback, and here comes Bernard Scott. And not finding a whole lot in there with which to work. Brought down by Nakamura. It's a 23-yard return. Second possession coming up for Carson Palmer and the Bengals on CBS. Beautiful Inner Harbor here in Baltimore. Solomon with a field goal. Second possession now for Cincinnati. 1st and 10 with 2 tight ends. They go outside. Caldwell gets it. Knocked out of bounds by Josh Wilson. Right in front of that Baltimore bench. Out to the 32-yard line. Pickup of 7. Jared Johnson was there as well. And we're finding Palmer's got a little bit of a transition himself. New targets now to go to.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, both Andre Caldwell, who you saw make the reception there, he and Jerome Simpson getting opportunities that didn't come their first 3 years in the National Football League. They've had to sit behind guys like Terrell Owens, Chad Ochocinco, and Tony O'Brien. So now they're getting their opportunity to prove what they can do.
More muscle on that line with Dennis Rowland on this 2nd down and 3. And Benson is hit by DeJuan Landry and belted on the play is, you can see, by Haloti Ngata. It's a gain of 2. They'll be shy of a first down by about a yard up to the 34.
And Kevin, going back to both Andre Caldwell and Jerome Simpson, remember they were drafted in 2008, and since then, you know, TJ Houshmandzadeh, he has transitioned. You take a look at the numbers by Sid Benson, and we talked about it in free agency coming into this year. They signed Antonio Bryant. They signed T.O. And remember, they drafted Shipley and Gresham. So these guys really have had to wait. So this is a real key moment in their career.
3rd and 1, and Benson finds nothing up the middle. He was wrapped up and brought down. And Jarrett Johnson, who has really strung together some wonderful seasons. It's a 3 and out, and they got a punt.
When you run up the middle, you still have to secure the edge. And look at that. He goes unblocked. Now, I think you and I could come in and make the tackle for a loss in that play. A key player like Johnson, if you don't block him, he'll find a way to make a play on the football.
Jared Johnson playing in his 113th consecutive game. That's the best all-time record for this Baltimore team. Here is a Huber punt. Darius Webb is back there at about the 12-yard line. And he'll dance just a bit. The initial hook was put on him by Bernard Scott. Out of bounds he goes. Here comes Flacco. Here come the Ravens up 3-zip after the 53-yard punt by Huber. Well, there's the AFC playoff picture. It is becoming more clear, really, with Indianapolis and Jacksonville fighting for that last spot.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're the Indianapolis Colts, you win and you're in. They're taking on the Tennessee Titans today at home.
Bengals have had it twice. Ed Reed picked off Palmer in the first possession. 3-place punt moments ago. Biggest play so far, a 37-yard catch and run by Heap that took them into field goal range. They got a 25-yard field goal, but they did have it 1st and goal. Here from the 19-yard line, 1st and 10, and Rice is on the move out of the backfield. Good block by Orr. Mason. First on the play by Reggie Nelson. One out of bounds, has the first down. He's up to the 34-yard line. A catch and run of 15 yards.
Well, this is the perfect scenario. If you're the Baltimore Ravens, take a look at the catch and run by Derek Mason coming across your screen right to left, catching it underneath and still creating yards after the catch and creating a first down. But if you're the Ravens, I love the play-in scenario. Yes, you're already in the playoffs, but if you win today, Pittsburgh lose, you go from that number 5 seed to a number 2 seed. I think it's the perfect scenario to have your players' attention, have them go out and compete.
Mason with his 59th reception. Rice. And he was brought down on the play. Rivers once again was there. Loss of a yard on the play, and they shove him back to the 32-yard line.
Look at Pat Sam. Wow.
Thought the fantasy season was over. It's not. Play NFL.com. Playoff challenge today. You could win a trip to Super Bowl 46 in Indianapolis. Sign up for free. NFL.com/fantasy or search to NFL Playoff Challenge. 2nd down and 11. Rice, wow, coming through this time, Brandon Johnson. Terrific play, loss of 4 on the play, back to the 29.
Did we say that the Ravens had to crack the code to the Cincinnati Bengals defense? They have not done that, because look at Johnson. Blitzing the A-gap, getting underneath Todd Heap, getting penetration in the face of the running back Ray Rice, coming in early. They don't even block him. And so when you can stop Ray Rice, now you're forced a 3rd and long situation. I expect them to send a blitz after Joe Flacco on 3rd and long, and you've got to jump any pass route going over the middle of the field if you're playing in the Bengals secondary.
Juwan Ratliff has come in as an extra defensive back. They got 5 back there, 3rd and 15 for Flacco. Nice catch out to the 38. Tackle made by Dhani Jones. Anquan Bolden is there, but well shy of a first down. Picks up 9 on 3rd and 15, and Baltimore's got a punt for the first time today.
Yeah, they only rushed 4, but was it an inside breaking route? And I think if you're in the Cincinnati Bengals secondary, you have to really lock in on the routes that the Ravens are wanting to run, particularly in 3rd and long. That's where you can create turnovers and shorten the field for Carson Palmer and your offense.
Sam Cook to punt. Juan Cosby is back inside the 24, Cincinnati. Very little breeze inside the stadium today, and a beauty. Cosby back to the 5. Hang time 4-4-7. No maneuver, and Nakamura once again is in there making the stop. Haruki Nakamura from the University of Cincinnati. He hails from Cleveland, makes the stop on Cosby on a 20-yard return. After the 3-and-out by the Baltimore Ravens, here comes Cincinnati with their 3rd possession from the 24. Cody is on the line taking the place in this series of Greg. And a little catch outside by Kaufman. Banged out of bounds on the near side by Jameel McClain, along a couple others. And there is Josh Wilson. Boy, he took a wallop. It's a gain of 5. He's up to the 29. And Wilson, who they got in a trade with Seattle, is shaken up.
Chase Kaufman, 6'6", 250. Here's what you hit. Oof. That was helmet to helmet, and that's why the league has really cracked down on those helmet to helmet hits. Now, Kaufman was in a defensive position. He could protect himself, but sometimes the defensive player comes out on the short end.
So Wilson will be escorted off. In the secondary, Carr, Reed, Webb, and Landry. And like I said before, looks like Greg is taking a breather on this defensive series, and high pick Terrence Cody is in 2nd down and 5. And Cedric Benson. And he was brought down on the play by Corey Redding. It's a gain of 4. Benson now has a career high in carries. He's up to the 33-yard line.
Yeah, you know, the Bengals have come out. They've thrown it far more times than they've run it this season. And everyone's asked him, how come Cedric Benson isn't getting more carries? You can see the last 4 games against the Baltimore Ravens, over 300 yards rushing. And Ced Benson is one of those guys that can carry the load, but he's fumbled 5 times this year. And, you know, oftentimes when they want to get him more carries, he's put the ball on the ground.
3rd and 1. And he sneaks it in. Very small window. Look at the backpedaling move by Simpson, who gains an extra 5 yards on a 13-yard catch up to the 46. We go to New York and James Brown.
Kevin and Solomon, Roethlisberger and Mike Wallace in a groove early. Take a look at this key play, a 41-yard pass play between the two, which set up a 1-yard touchdown run by Rashard Mendenhall. Steelers 14-0. They're looking to take care of business themselves with the win to clinch the AFC North and a 1st-round bye. Kevin and Solomon.
Well said, James. They're watching the scoreboard here in Baltimore, believe me. 1st and 10 from the 46, a 13-yard catch by Simpson. Great time. Whitworth with a great block at the left tackle. Throws it away. Jarrett Johnson was on Cedric Benson. Whitworth did a terrific job taking his man out. A new team takes the field tomorrow morning on CBS. Start your day with Erica Hill, Chris Raggi, Marisol Castro, all on the new early show beginning tomorrow right here on CBS.
On the play. 2nd down.
They just picked up the flag. Here's Andrew Whitworth.
He's doing a great job.
Oh, what a play that time.
And a Pro Bowl snub. He should have gone to a Pro Bowl. And when you haven't given up a sack in a divisional game in the last 2 years, blocking the likes of Terrell Suggs and James Harrison of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's more than putting in work.
Caldwell in the backfield, 2nd down and 10. This is Benson. And he moves after Suggs, traps him at about the, after a gain of 5, at about the 49-yard line of Baltimore.
Yeah, Whitworth just threw an excellent block there, and take a look at him. He's allowed 0 sacks in the division over the last couple of years, and only allowed 2 total sacks over the last couple of years. And how do you not get to go to the Pro Bowl, particularly when you play in the AFC North and you're playing against defenses like the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, playing against some of the best in the National Football League.
Extra defensive back is in there now. That's Fabian Washington. 5 back there for the Ravens. 3rd and 5. That's caught. 1st down. Caldwell grabs the ball. Carr was the guy defending. A pickup of 7 on 3rd and 5. Bengals a first down to the 41.
And right now they're doing a really good job of providing protection for Carson Palmer. Look at that. Sticking his foot in the ground, come out of the break. Ball's on the money to Andre Caldwell. That's where both young players really have impressed their quarterback. Carson talked about it, Kevin, saying, hey, they're where they're supposed to be. When I cut it loose, I need the receivers to be where I expect them to be in order to complete passes.
Benson back in, 7th play of the drive. End around. Here is Simpson. Trying to stiff arm his way free. Webb was over there with the stop for the Baltimore Ravens on a gain of 3 and put him at the 39.
I love Jerome Simpson's attitude when he came into the meeting. Said, hey, I'm going to make them defend me. He came in very confident. Now he's going to throw a stiff arm there when you miss and they get under it. Look at that tackle. That's excellent tackle. But Simpson, he is growing in confidence. And Marvin Lewis talked about the way he's handled himself this week despite having great success last week against San Diego.
5 in the secondary. Kruger on the defensive line for Baltimore. 2nd down and 8 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Drive started back at their 24. And Benson. Ray Lewis has him around the ankle. Gain to the 36 and a pickup of 3. Ray Lewis again leads this Baltimore defense in tackles.
And on this drive, they're remaining on schedule as the Cincinnati Bengals offense. They're getting Sid Benson involved. They're keeping Carson Palmer clean in the pocket. The receivers are working in rhythm and in concert with their quarterback. And I think if Sid Benson has a big day, it really makes it tough to beat the Cincinnati Bengals.
Donnell Ellerby has come in as a linebacker as well. 3rd and 5. Pierman in the backfield. Collins with the block. Pierman's got the ball, and Reed has got Pierman. Another first down throw on 3rd down. It's a pickup of 11. That kid, Cedric Pierman, was a 6th-round pick by Baltimore last year.
Yeah, watch him coming over the middle, going into the teeth of the defense. Ball on the money from Palmer, and look at the hit and near strip for Ed Reed. You know Ed Reed wants to go for the ball. I think he can go into the middle of that defense with confidence that he's probably going to go for the ball more than he's going to go for that knockout kill shot.
4 in the secondary, 1st and 10. Benson is in. And brought down on the play. McKinney on that defensive line gets him around the waist, and no gain on the play. I guess, you know, the Cincinnati team can play a little free and easy, can't they, with this game? There's no pressure on them.
But John Harbaugh gave them great respect, said that we're no better than a team that's only won 4 games all year. He gave the Bengals great respect coming into today's game.
Reed has had an interception. Todd Heap had a 37-yard catch. Bengals right now in a pretty good-looking drive.
8 straight quarters without scoring a touchdown against the Baltimore Ravens, but yet they've won their previous 2 games. So they've got to be able to punch this one into the end zone.
Ravens in the nickel. 2nd and 10, 11th play of the Cincinnati drive. Palmer almost picked off by Reed again. They were going for Jerome Simpson. It'll be 3rd and 10 for Cincinnati.
Carson Palmer's got to cut this one loose a whole lot earlier. I thought he had Simpson open early coming across the field. Watch him coming here. Now he's open now. Get the ball to him. Don't wait. The longer you wait, the more you put your receiver in harm's way. And I think if you would have waited a 1/10 of a second longer, Ed Reed would be returning that one for a touchdown.
How about Palmer on 3rd down on this drive? And 3rd and 1, hit Simpson for 13. Hit Caldwell for 8 on 3rd and 5. Another 3rd and 5. Pierman for 11. Let's see what he does here. 3rd and 10. Into the nickel. Palmer got him. That's the tight end, Chase Kaufman. His dad played in the NFL to the 14-yard line. Close to a first down. Close to a 10-yard pickup. Jarrett Johnson was right there. They will move the chains. First down.
Yeah, you see Kaufman coming right here, settling in. See, watch him just settle. Now, he's a big target. We said he was 6'6", 250, but with Jermaine Gresham out of today's game, Kaufman is going to play that position at the tight end spot, and so he's going to be able to make some plays. And look at this Baltimore Ravens defense. As good as they have been, they've allowed a red zone score of 41 red zone possessions by their opponent.
74, Roland. He is an eligible player. coming in as more beef on that line. 1st and 10. Benson, what a great defensive play. Ray Lewis comes through and throws him for a loss of 3. Back to the, let's see, 17-yard line is where they'll stop the ball.
Film study, understanding, recognition, and formation. There he is, peering in your backfield, and he just understood what they wanted to do, and he just blitzed himself. No one has to tell him to. No one has to tell him what to expect. He knows, and he's a real veteran that leads his teammates to make plays like that as well.
That would be back in. 2nd down and 13. Benson to the bottom of your screen. Quick hitter. Shipley, the rookie out of Texas. Brought down by Webb. Put him down to the 11. And a pickup of 6 on the play.
Carson Palmer having to rely on young players like Jordan Shipley. We showed you Chase Kaufman making some plays. Shipley over 50 receptions on the year as a rookie wide receiver from the University of Texas. And I think if Palmer can grow with this young group, it's going to be interesting to see just how good they can become.
Nickel secondary. Pearman in the backfield for Palmer. It's 3rd down and 7. 4th down have been beautiful on this drive by the Bengals. Good block by Collins. Out of the reach of Shipley. The coverage by Carr. It'll be 4th down.
Oh, they tried to go a high-low read to the right side of the field. They had Simpson on the back end of the end zone, and they tried to run Jordan Shipley short. They had them both covered, and that's why Palmer just had to get rid of the ball. And you say, well, what are they doing? Why did he throw it away? You can ill afford to take a sack and get knocked out of the red zone. Right now, they're going to set up for a really short field goal. It should be makeable.
Stitzer's going to try one from 29. Took the place in Nugent back in late November. And he can't get it. First miss. It was 7-7. That would have tied the game in 12:43 to play.
Wow.
Here in the 2nd quarter. So the Baltimore defense holds on. Good looking drive orchestrated by Palmer, but they can't cash in. It goes back to the Ravens. Boy, a little chip shot from 29. You think he'd get that, but he misses, and still Baltimore with the shutout.
Yeah, 16 plays to go 65 yards, convert 4 of their 5 third downs, and nothing to show.
Flacco on 1st and 10. Nice catch on the near side. You saw Hushmanzada, the ex-Bengal, 3rd all-time leading receiver for Cincinnati, make the grab. Hall on the coverage. Close to a gain of 10 on the play. And coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowan. Scores, highlights, and news all coming from our CBS studios in New York. Look at the playoff picture as well. Sprint Halftime Report. And by the way, at the bottom of our screen, you'll see the crawl. There's a lot of information down there for you Raven fans, football fans too, obviously, of other games, but in particular of the Pittsburgh Steelers game today. 1st and 10. After the 10-yard catch by Hushmanzada, going deep and looking for the tight end, Dixon, with the coverage on the play by Leon Hall. Bad ankle and all.
Just wonderful presence of mind by Leon Hall. He sees this play coming back at him at the top of the screen. Look, over to the far on the left side, but he stays home. He gets his head around, and he plays the football in the air, able to pry it loose. Excellent play defensively by Leon Hall. 4 interceptions on the year, and they're very thin on the back end of that secondary, but his veteran presence allows him to make that play.
Hall's 57th consecutive start at cornerback today. 2nd down and 10 for Flacco. Higgy was in the backfield, and he gets the call here. Williams can't get him. Malaluga can't get him. Look at him toss and turn his way. Finally done up among the couple that bring him down. It's a gain of 8. There's a flag thrown on the play at the 46-yard line. By the way, one more note about that Raven defensive stand. First red zone stop since December of 09, where they've held an opponent with nothing. Field goal or touchdown with that last drive and the miss by Stitzer.
They had allowed scores on 41 consecutive possessions by the opponent inside their red zone.
Wow.
That's surprising, you know, for a Baltimore Ravens defense.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 74, the offense, a late hit, 15-yard penalty, and the down counts, 3rd down.
That's Michael Orr.
Came in from the blind side.
Yeah, very good. We're going to blindside James Brown in New York right now.
Kevin Solly's a good one, is he not? Saints looking to keep pressure on the Falcons. Hooking up here, Breeze and Graham to take a 7-3 lead over Tampa Bay, hoping they still have a shot at the South title and home field. Back to Kevin and Solomon.
Boomer Esiason and I were in Atlanta on Monday. Huge win for the Saints over the Falcons.
The Saints are one of those teams that if they get hot going into the postseason, look out. Green Bay would be another.
Nickel secondary, 3rd and 17 for Flacco. Rice with the block on Johnson. Here comes Williams. Down goes Flacco. At about the 20, it's a loss of 3. They'll have to punt as we send you to New York.
But you know the Falcons have the edge. A win, they get the South and home field. Eric Weems knows it. He takes this punt 55 yards to pay dirt, putting the Falcons up 14-0 over Carolina. They've got the edge right now. Kevin and Solomon.
Weems, one of the best returners in the NFC.
Yeah, for many wins as the Falcons have. How about this? Come down to week 17 in order to clinch a division title.
Here's another punt by Sam Cook. Juan Cosby will dance with the first wave and then knocked out of bounds on the play by the Ravens special team maven Jalen Parmalee. 10-yard return, 56-yard punt. Little forn out by the Baltimore Ravens. That sends the quarterback Palmer to his 35. His running back is Scott. 1st down and 10. Bernard Scott. And you saw Cody get a hand on him along with a couple others. On a gain of 2, he's up to the 37-yard line. So once again, putting this playoff thing in perspective, Ravens win. They clinch the North, the 2 seed, and they get a week off.
Yeah, if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose at Cleveland, those things hold up. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot to lose. They lose to Cleveland, and Baltimore wins number 2 seed to a number 5. And if the Jets win, they could fall as far as a number 6 seed in the AFC playoff picture.
Josh Wilson, by the way, hasn't returned for that defense. 2nd down and 8. We'd have no word on him. There's Simpson. Fumbling. Carr with the hit. Ray Lewis jumps on the ball, vacuums it in. That's the 2nd turnover for Cincinnati.
You better know who you're playing against. If you catch the ball and you want to run with it, the Baltimore Ravens, they're like thieves in the night. They want to strip you and take it away.
Chris Carr forced a fumble against the Browns last week. Ray Lewis jumped on it after the completion to Simpson. Ravens take over. They've got a 25-yard field goal on their first series. It's 1st down and 10. And it goes to Dante Stallworth. He's done more of this than receive. And he is brought. They fumbled the ball. The hit was by Roy Williams. You see the subsequent scrum. It was vacuumed in by Dunlap. They mark him down at the 48. There is no fumble. They say he was down. 14-yard end-around run by Dante Stallworth.
Yeah, Marvin Lewis clear on the other side of the field. He's wondering, was it a fumble? Was he down? Look at the hit. It's a hard hit there by Roy Williams. Still up at this point as the knee touched the ground, and boom, ball came out, I think, with before the knee touched the ground. Let's take a look at it again. As he's still fighting for yards, hand down, but the knee hasn't touched.
Cleveland is challenging the ruling on the field that the runner had fumbled the ball.
Kevin,
timeout.
That's a fumble. This ball should be awarded to the Cincinnati Bengals.
We'll find out when we come back. 10-14 to play in the 2nd quarter.
As we return to M&T Bank Stadium, Dante Stallworth on the run. Now watch, you're going to see he's not on the ground when Reggie Nelson comes and pokes this ball out from behind. And watch, he's going to be parallel to the ground right there. He's yet to touch the ground. We rock it back and forth there. You can see balls out before he makes contact with the ground. I think the call on the field will be overturned. Remember, it was ruled a non-fumble and the ball was awarded to the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're going to reverse the call based on that visual evidence we saw there. I believe it was a fumble, and Bengals did recover it.
Well, the Ravens could set a single season franchise record for fewest turnovers. They've only had 18, 9 picks, 9 fumbles. The record is 12 right now. They've had what I think has been a terrific season in terms of that giveaway takeaway. They're +4. Bengals are -5. Reggie Nelson, by the way, is now playing with the injuries to Chris Crocker and to Ndukwe. former #1 pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars, came here in a trade with the Bengals.
Real heads-up play, and all defensive coaches teach you when you're coming in from behind to make the tackle, go ahead and poke the ball out. Go ahead and tackle the ball as well. And Nelson alertly was able to punch that ball loose before Stallworth made contact with the ground.
That was Stallworth's 5th carry, by the way, in the season. This kind of game you expected so far?
Well, I expect both teams to maybe be able to run it a little bit better. I didn't know that we'd get this kind of defensive struggle. We have already, if this one is complete and what we think it is, this will be the 3rd turnover of the game. So I didn't expect the ball to be changing hands so frequently.
Yeah, Palmer's thrown a pick and Simpson
After
fumbled.
reviewing the play, it is a fumble. Cincinnati has a clear recovery. The ball will be placed on the 36-yard line. Please set the game clock to 10:17. Thank you. And Cincinnati will not be charged a timeout.
You know, winning challenges like this, and you have to have, I think, coaches upstairs taking a look at it, relaying the information down to Marvin Lewis so he can signal, hey, that he wants to take a look at it by throwing the red flag. And the Bengals were alert. It punched the ball loose, and then they were able to get the turnover. We told you Mike Zimmer's group has been a tough out for the Baltimore Ravens offense.
Webb is still in. Secondary for the Ravens. 1st and 10. Come on, side pass right there, and you see Simpson work his ways out of Coastal Carolina. He picks up 6 on the play, and he's out to about the 42.
Yeah, offensively, the Bengals got off to a slow start, going 3 and out on their first 2 possessions, the interception, then a punt, and then that 3rd possession, 16 plays, missed field goal. They had a nice little movement, I thought, on that 4th possession, even though it's only 2 plays and a fumble by Jerome Simpson. Remember, a good throw from Carson Palmer. The offense seems like they've been gaining momentum where they have been able to move the ball on their last 2 possessions.
Kinney's on the defensive line, 2nd down and 3. And Benson again. Finding a little bit of room. You see the pile there, bringing him down. Jarrett Johnson, that's a gain of 2. They're out to about the 46. You know, Simpson is a guy who's now on the big stage because he's starting for the injured Ocho Cinco. I guess there was probably some concern as to how he would handle all this attention now. He hasn't had a lot in his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Hadn't had a lot of opportunities. In his 3rd season from Coastal Carolina, we talked about how he'd been buried behind the playmakers like Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco and T.J. Hushman's out and now getting his opportunity. So he wondered how he would handle success that he had last week against San Diego.
On a 3rd and 1. Again on the play. Looks like they stopped it. And they had Suggs, who's going to the Pro Bowl. He was right there making the stop on Chris Presley.
Kelly Craig, look at Terrell Suggs, 55, getting in and getting penetration coming underneath Andrew Whitworth. I think it was Suggs' initial penetration that really did not allow that Bengals play to be successful.
Suggs admitted he came to camp overweight last year, had an offseason this year. He has been simply terrific. The punt by Huber. Lardarius Webb from the 15-yard line. Nice play from behind. The tackle made by special teamer McElroy, the rookie from Texas. 40-yard punt. Flacco takes the field again for the Ravens. We're back here in Baltimore. CBSSports.com is streamlining its award-winning fantasy games to create even a better fantasy experience. Go to CBSSports.com/sneak preview to sign up for an alert when fantasy games launch. Here comes Flacco. Here come the Ravens. Winners of 3 straight, 5 of 6, 7 of 9. Seems like they're peaking at the right time.
Well, and gaining momentum as you head into the postseason is very important.
Rice in the backfield, 1st and 10. Ray Rice bumping into Burke, bouncing off him, brought down by Hall. Good looking run to the 33, pickup of close to 10 as we take you to New York and James Brown.
Hey, Kevin, the Steelers have scored on each of their first 3 possessions. This is Rashard Mendenhall's 2nd 1-yard TD run, capping an 11-play, 71-yard drive, 21-3. Steelers, as you know, with the win, clinch the AFC North and a first-round bye. Kevin Harlan, Solomon Wilcox.
I mean, a lot of teams have a lot to play for, but boy, especially the Steelers.
And Mike Tomlin has this group ready. They scored their first 3 possessions. Are you kidding me?
First down run by Rice. There's a block by Grubbs. The retreating Flacco. Heat. Brought brought down by Roy Williams. It's a gain of about 4 earlier in the game. In the first series, he had a catch and run of 37 yards and set up a field goal.
Yeah, and watch the quarterback, Joe Flacco. Look at the presence. And we talked about the 4 interceptions he threw week 2 against Cincinnati. Well, in the next 13 games, he's thrown 4 interceptions during that period, but 24 touchdowns. Look at the presence. Look at the movement, mobility, presence of mind. And John Harbaugh talked about it. We had to hone in on his technique and fundamentals. That's what's allowed him to improve.
On 2nd down and 6, they run McClain. Gain of 2. Maualuga's over there up to the 39-yard line. Well, we know they're off to the best start, the Ravens, and if they go to 12-4, one of the best records in the short history of this franchise. But the wins really have not come that easy this season for the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, they've blown some fourth-quarter leads. But if you talk to Coach Harbaugh, he says, look, you know, our defense, we're one of the best in the National Football League in terms of points allowed. And I think you got to give Coach Harbaugh credit. 3 consecutive seasons. He only been here 3 years. 3 consecutive seasons of taking his team into the postseason with a very young quarterback.
In the nickel on 3rd and 4, going deep for Rice. Coverage by a linebacker and a guy in the secondary. The backer was Johnson. Roy Williams came from the secondary with the flag thrown at about the 32.
Now I'm going to tell you why they threw this flag. They're going to call personal foul.
Pass interference.
Whoa.
Number 59. Automatic first down.
They got the matchup they wanted, a running back against the linebacker, and that was against Johnson, who was defending on the play.
Well, I thought they were going to throw it on Roy Williams, but they're calling it. See, there's the arm bar, and he's not playing the ball, Johnson. And I thought they were going to call it on Roy leading with the helmet there. He never hit Ray Rice, so my apologies, but if you're Johnson, you've got to get the head around and play the ball. So they're going to call pass interference because he was using the arm bar to keep Ray Rice from playing the football.
Atkins and Dunlap on that defensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals. In essence, a 24-yard penalty. With the 1st and 10. Willis McGahee. Maualuga jumping on his back near the 30 and a burst of 8 yards by McGahee.
Baltimore Ravens starting to cut it loose. Take a look, coming downhill, then bouncing it back this way. And that's just an excellent hold. Look at the blocking up front. Getting the ball carrier to the 2nd level, whether it's Ray Rice, whether it's Willis McGahee, Cam Cameron, the offense coordinator, starting to dial up some plays. He knows the challenge of trying to crack this code of Mike Zimmer's defense. It's been a challenging one.
McGahee remains 2nd down and 3. Flacco for Baltimore. Nice defensive play with no yellow on the field. Reggie Nelson. So Nelson has knocked the ball away. Jumps in front of the very tough wide receiver Anquan Bolden. Incomplete pass.
Watch Nelson, how he's very adept at coming over the top. Is there contact? No. See, I love the way he came over the top. And yeah, he made some contact with the helmet. But just as he made contact with the football and able to knock it away. And what was his intent? His intent was clearly to play the ball. He didn't go through the receiver. He came over the top of the receiver to knock the ball away.
Rice comes back in. Ratliff is the 5th defensive back in the secondary for Cincinnati on 3rd and 3. That was deflected, and the wobbly pass caught by Bolden. Ratliff then jumps on him. Gain of a yard, 29-yard line. They need the 27 for the first, so once again they'll try for 3.
We saw Cam Cameron had been dialing up some effective plays. The offense gets going, and you know, Nelson knocks the ball down on 2nd down. 3rd down, the pressure in the face of Flacco. Ball tipped at the line of scrimmage, and now they force Billy Cundiff to come on and settle for a field goal.
New long snapper too, Kevin Hauser. Rookie Morgan Cox, the long snapper, blew a knee last week. They'd had such great rhythm with the 3 of these guys. Already kicked 1 field goal from 25. Here's one from 47 yards away, and 6-0 Baltimore. Building upon their lead. 4:41 in the 2nd. As Marvin Lewis and his team getting shut out so far by John Harbaugh and the Ravens. 21-3. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on top of the Cleveland Browns. If they win, they control it all. They've got the 2nd seed in back of the always tough New England Patriots. A 1st-round bye, home field as long as they are alive. And as you can see in the bottom of your screen, the crawl, which gives you constant updates with statistics on that game along with others, especially in the NFC, where there is still some question as to who's going to make it and who's going to be home.
Oh, absolutely. There's still position open. The Green Bay Packers hope to claim it with a win today. The Giants are clinging. They need to win and some help in order to get in.
Here comes Bernard Scott. And from the 3-yard line for Scott. Got a great block on the play, and then he's brought down by Dixon, the tight end, who took the place of Heap. So we saw for the last 3 weeks while Heap was injured with that right hamstring. 28-yard return.
Give a lot of credit to the Baltimore Ravens run defense, where they've been able to keep Cedric Benson hemmed in. The Bengals only 25 yards rushing so far in the ball game. Constant penetration into the backfield. The Cincinnati Bengals been able to blow it up twice on 3rd and 1, not allow the extra yards or extra downs in terms of converting those 3rd downs into 1st downs. Give a lot of credit to Jared Johnson and Terrell Suggs and that defensive line for the Baltimore Ravens.
Greg on there right now. He started, of course, 1st and 10 for Palmer. Outside, Jerome Simpson working right in front of Carr. Simpson again, very impressive. He has fumbled today. He has a couple long receptions. It's a gain of 9. They're working on Carr.
Yeah, and Simpson, we talked about him being an inexperienced player, even though he's in his 3rd season. But, you know, he made a nice catch. It didn't have the proper ball protection, so he fumbled the ball. I think he's probably learned something there, but he continues to get open and be where he's supposed to be running his routes.
That was his 4th reception. 2nd down and 1. Still no Josh Wilson. We're still waiting to get word from the sideline. He was hit hard. Webb taking his place at the corner. Cedric Benson. Ray Lewis had a hand on him, as did Jameel McClain. It is a gain of 4. They get a 1st down to the 44.
Some movement on offense consistently. I think providing protection for Carson Palmer, I think, has been the most important thing that the Bengals have done all day. Now it's got to protect the football. They've turned it over twice here in the 1st half. I'm sure Marvin Lewis is looking for some continuity on offense to sustain drive,
including a Palmer interception and those 2 turnovers you're talking about. Benson is in. Flag is thrown. Play is good. Did he blow a whistle? I guess he didn't blow a whistle on the near side. I thought maybe he did. You saw the flags. Benson was taken out on the near side. Carr was over there, and Suggs. No gain on the play as it stands right now. Wilson has a shoulder stinger, we understand, from the sideline, and we have not seen him since he was knocked out.
Illegal formation. Offense, number 87 was covered up. Penalty will be declined. 2nd down.
You see Marvin Lewis right there, and you know, his situation a little bit tenuous now. A lot of eyes on him. This is the final game of his contract.
Contract expires after this game, and ironically, Marvin Lewis turned down the contract extension offered by the team prior to the start of the season. I think very surprisingly, this is a coach who won Coach of the Year after sweeping the division and winning the division title 1 year ago.
2nd down and 10. Deflected. Dropped. Caldwell. Coverage by Webb.
Talk about the tenuous situation with the Cincinnati Bengals and their coaching staff and many of the players. Do you bring back Chad Ochocinco? $3.5 million if he doesn't come back. You got to pay him $6 million to return to the football team. Terrell Owens, do you bring him back to play with Carson Palmer? Do you move on with the young receivers? But you know, first you got to figure out who's going to coach him up, because we won't have a collective bargaining agreement, you know, at least we don't right now, by March 1st. I think there's a lot of things up in the air.
Washington Nakamura, the defensive secondary, numbering 6, 3rd and 10. Palmer, Shipley right in front of Nakamura. Shy of a 1st down, picks up 8 on 3rd and 10. Spot him at the 49-yard line.
Yeah, we talked about the protection for Carson Palmer. Watch him move in the pocket. He steps up. But now you have to get rid of it. And he's able to hit Shipley, but you mentioned it, in front of the 1st down marker. So good coverage on the back end of the Baltimore Ravens defense, providing enough pressure to flush Palmer out of the pocket.
Ed Reed is back there as Huber's going to punt. Oh, a horrendous punt as he has it go off the side of his foot, out about the 27-yard line. Mark at the 28. 5 plays punt for Cincinnati, sailing 20 yards. We sail to New York, and James Brown.
Kevin, Steelers are in a groove, have scored on all 4 drives after a pick by Ryan Clark. Roethlisberger capitalizes, hooking up with Heath Miller on that 4-yard strike. 28-3. Steelers over Cleveland late in the 2nd. Kevin, your last name now is Harlan as opposed to Harleman last week. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, don't worry about that, JB. We're back in your neck of the woods here in the Baltimore, Washington area. And friends here, you people in this terrific part of the country have made us feel right at home. We're one of the great cities in the country, Baltimore. After the punt, 1st and 10. Flacco. Right on the screws, Mason. He was covered on the play. Jonathan Joseph right over there with the coverage. Gain to about the 37-yard line. Close to a first down. We'll call it a gain of 8.
And Joe Flacco understanding the situation as we approach the 2-minute mark. You know, going with a hurry-up offense, trying to get the ball down the field to put more points on the board.
Flacco 9 of 12. 2nd down and 1. This is the elusive Rice in the secondary. Brought down on the play. Dunlap jumping on his back. Gain of 9. 2-minute warning to the 46. The Ravens on the move. We just had a pass to Derek Mason on the sideline, and Mason now has caught a couple passes today. Catches 59 and 60. One Jerry Rice. 1st and 10. They come and bring him down. Geno Atkins is there to whack him. He's replacing Tank Johnson on that defensive line. 3rd sack of the year for him. 2nd sack today on Flacco. Loss of 8 on the play. Back to the 38. And that is some pretty good company now for Derek Mason with Rice and Tony G.
11 straight seasons for the feisty Derek Mason, the consummate pro for the Baltimore Ravens.
2nd down and 18. That's Heath. And up high, he was hit by the linebacker Jones. Down low, Keywan Ratliff. 14-yard pickup out of the 48-yard line. Still not a first down. They got 3rd down and about 4 to go right now. Timeouts, Baltimore with 3. Rice in the backfield offers a block on the blitz. And outside they go. That's Hushman Sada. Dunlap was over there. That's a gain of 6 on the play. Coverage also, if you take a look at Dunlap, they love this kid on the defensive line. He's got 8 sacks, 2nd among all rookies in the NFL to Sue with the Detroit Lions. The pickup on that play was 6. It is a first down to the 42-yard line and a timeout taken by Baltimore. And Sprint halftime reports being put together for you right now at our CBS studios in New York. James Brown, Dan Marino, Shannon Sharp, and ex-Raven, Boomer Esiason, ex-Bengal, and Coach Bill Cowher. Scores, highlights, and playoff picture news. Coming up next on the Sprint halftime report. So for the Baltimore Ravens, if they win and Pittsburgh wins, Baltimore, which has the wild card already, will be in that role come next week as you take a look at Cam Cameron. And you know, there's been a lot of talk about the offense of the Ravens and Cameron, whether, you know, they've got a lot of talent. Are they getting enough out of the talent?
Well, I think they're getting a lot out of the talent. I think Cam Cameron is one of the better offense coordinators in the National Football League. 1st and 10, Flacco with the pocket crumbling again. Yanda with the block, going deep, intercepted by Nelson, right in front of Heath. 2nd turnover by Baltimore. Reggie Nelson with flags on the field. Continuing to go. Rice from behind brings them down. Flags numbering 2, I see right now. A 57-yard return.
Holding, number 73 offense. Penalty will be declined. First down.
Yanda picks it up. Nelson gets the pick right there. 2nd of the season for him.
And so what were we seeing? I'm going to show you. Go ahead and roll it. Now watch Heat right there. Heat's going to end up clear over here, wide open, even though Flacco's going to roll over to his right. Now look at that. Stop it right there. Is he wide open? But you got to cut it loose early because look at Nelson. He's on the way. But he's able to close the distance because the ball was lofted very high. Did not get there in time. But I think if you see him sooner and cut it loose earlier, Flacco can avoid the interception. Would have had himself a touchdown. That's got nothing to do with the play call by Cam Cameron. They dialed it up. It worked as he was flushed out. Just need better execution.
The 37-yard line of the Baltimore Ravens. 2 turnovers by Cincinnati. 2 turnovers by Baltimore. Cincinnati's got 3 timeouts. Pierman is in the backfield with Palmer. Into the nickel. Simpson. Boy, was he drilled by Ray Lewis. Gain of 4 in the play. Down to the 33. Timeout taken by Palmer. Bengals burn their first. We'll take a break as well. 2nd down and 6 after the timeout by the Cincinnati Bengals. Still 5 in the secondary for the Baltimore Ravens. On that 2nd and 6, looks like they got the first down. Webb shoving Simpson out of bounds. Another catch for Simpson. Picks up 8 right there. Move the chains. First down. Clock is stopped at 30 seconds and 2 timeouts remaining for Cincinnati.
Oh, Simpson, his rhythm and his timing in terms of his route running right now, I think is impeccable. Not only did he break it and snap it off where Carson Palmer wanted him to, he was 1 yard beyond the first down marker to create a first down.
1st and 10. Defensive backs.
False start, number 63. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's the veteran Bobby Williams at the guard.
Yeah, he knew they were coming. He could see them coming from that secondary on the blitz, and he moved prematurely as they were entering that neutral zone.
What is it with the Bengals and the number they've got on Baltimore? Close. And it was a win for Cincinnati. Remember, week 2, 15-10 over the Ravens in Cincinnati.
Well, Marvin Lewis, I think, has to be the key. And that's why I think if you're talking about changing coaches, he's coached 15 times against the Baltimore Ravens as the Bengals head coach. He's won 10 out of the 15.
Ravens in the nickel, 1st and 15. And that is caught by Caldwell, working on Fabian Washington. Spot him at the 24, and a pickup on the play. Not a first down by any means, but 6 yards on the carry.
Now Caldwell fights for this ball. This ball could be intercepted by Washington. Watch him coming up to the upfield shoulder, and look at Caldwell fight to possess that ball and stay in bounds. I watch him coming and breaking to the outside here. Now he fights for that ball, and if he doesn't fight for it, maybe Washington comes down with it.
So it was 1st and 15, now 2nd down and 8 from the 24. Whitworth with another block at the left tackle. Good looking catch. Was he inbound? Simpson? Yes, he was. Working on DeJuan Landry, and Washington on the near side. It is a first down. The Bengals at the 13 of the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, then look at the throw from Palmer, and you're talking about fighting for the ball. Simpson is growing up before our eyes. And you don't get to touch the field in the previous 3 years. Now you're getting a chance to play, taking advantage of his opportunity, climbing to another level to go up and get that football.
With a career high 7 receptions, he had 8 coming in to today for the season.
The previous play.
We're under 2 minutes, so the booth review will take hold here. Coaches can't challenge inside 2 in the booth upstairs. Run by the NFL. We'll take a look at the catch or alleged catch of Simpson.
They want to see if that second foot came down inbounds. We know the first one did. Let's take a look at the second one. Now look at the left foot. Okay, there's 1 foot down. Did he get the second one down? Now we can't see because the official's in the way. So maybe he had a better view of it than we did. It was ruled a catch on the field. Okay, there's 1. There's 2. Now it's clear to me. Really good look at it now. There's 1 foot. Now watch the second one. Yeah, there's second one down, and he still has possession of the ball.
Through the catch. Through the fall.
Through the catch. Yep. Now, we don't see anything that ball moved. I think he possessed it and held it, even though he made contact with the ground. You still have to maintain not only possession, but control of the ball. Now watch possession and control of the ball. We already determined that the feet were in. Let's look at the ball. There it is right there. Watch it. Watch it. Ball on the ground. Does he still possess it? I would say yes. It'll be interesting to see if they overturn that. I don't know that we saw enough to say that he didn't control the ball after it made contact with the ground. It's going to be close.
A lot of fans are continuing to look at this review. A lot of fans will ask, for a team like Cincinnati coming in 11-4, how meaningful can this game be? But you know what? They talked to the players in the locker room this week. They said very meaningful.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a catch. First down.
Simpson picks it up right there. It means a lot. Means a lot for that guy right there, the head coach, Marvin Lewis.
Well, that means Marvin Lewis will have won his last 3 ball games after losing 10 in a row. So the ability of a coach to not lose his team, you go on a 10-game losing streak, and then now they're looking at the clock. Marvin Lewis is telling his team, hey, hurry up. Let's get in and out of the huddle.
Bengals have a couple timeouts. First and 10 at the 13-yard line of the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens in the nickel. Now Lewis jumps back. In the zone, here comes the blitz by Kruger. Intercepted Ray. Look at this. It's Ed Reed once again. Lewis was back there, and he watches his longtime running mate Reed go the other way, and from behind he is taken down by Pearman, the running back, for a second consecutive week. Ed Reed has intercepted a quarterback twice in one game. That's 4 picks in less than 2 games for Ed Reed.
2 interceptions 1 week ago, another 2 today. This one goes off the hand of the intended receiver. And Ed Reed is the best at intercepting all tips and overthrows. We already seen him pick off one earlier today that was tipped. And he's one of the best in the league, Kevin, at running and creating yards after he gets the interception. He is just a consummate playmaker on the defensive side of the ball.
He's the current AFC Defensive Player of the Week. He now has, for the season, 8 interceptions. He is amazing. Someday he will be in Canton. Ed Reed. That is our score at halftime. So watching the NFL on CBS. Well, coming into today, Baltimore was hoping that Pittsburgh might lose and they could win. And if that was the case, you were going to see Baltimore get that number 2 seed. But we know that Pittsburgh is clobbering Cleveland now 31-3. Here, 6-0 Baltimore. First half thoughts.
Yeah, but you still have to be impressed with the way the Baltimore Ravens have come out and played against the Cincinnati Bengals team, who they have lost 3 straight games to the Bengals. So they really want to go into the postseason with great momentum, playing well on both sides of the ball.
I know right now you want to take a look at the Droid Pro Play presented by Motorola.
Well, you can't be more impressed with what Ed Reed has done in the early going of the ball game. Carson Palmer throwing yet his 2nd interception of the game, and 2 interceptions in the first half for Ed Reed, making plays inside of the red zone for that defense. You got to really give the Baltimore Ravens credit for what they've done in the first half, only allowing 25 rushing yards for the Cincinnati Bengals. Their ability to create 3 turnovers, 2 Carson Palmer interceptions, 1 Jerome Simpson fumble, and then their ability to make plays on 3rd down and get the Bengals offense off the field.
Parmalee is deep back for Baltimore. David Reed, who is the #1 kickoff return man in the NFL and a rookie for the Baltimore Ravens, injured and inactive today, had a concussion and a left wrist injury. And you can see
by rule the ball will be placed at the 40-yard line.
Out of bounds it goes. Stitzer. And the reason why Baltimore was receiving is because they won the flip of the coin, deferred to the kickoff to begin the second half. A look at Marvin Lewis. And his team has coughed it up 3 times so far. Ed Reed with 2 interceptions.
5 turnovers in the first half.
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco had thrown the interception as they were looking to go in the final 2 minutes of the half. And I think Marvin Lewis had to be really upset because they get the turnover. They're moving, look like they're going to score and put points on the board before halftime, but then they turn it over again.
It is 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Bolden in motion. Ray Rice. Pat Sims brings him down on that defensive line after a gain of a yard to the 41-yard line. And of course, if you're Baltimore, you know the playoffs begin next week for you. You want to sharpen your tools here a little bit. You don't want to have any kind of bump in the road.
Kevin, how many times have we seen it? A team that goes on to win the Super Bowl, they get hot going into the postseason. I think that's something that's first and foremost on the mind of their head coach, John Harbaugh. He wants his team to not only play well, but really be hitting on all cylinders. The offense, a little bit sluggish in the first half.
Here's a 2nd down and 9 handoff. And it goes with a nice tackle made right there around the laces by Dhani Jones. Ray Rice Picks up 4 on the play. He's out to the 45-yard line. Might interest some of you Bengal fans. We have Artrell Hawkins, who is watching our broadcast today. He's in the broadcasting business, and I have played at the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I came back from halftime. He was in my seat, had the mic in his hand. I think he's ready.
He's ready. He covered as a player, and he's covering you right now at halftime.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Here's a 3rd and 5. They've gone in the nickel for the Bengals. False start, Baltimore.
False start, number 84, the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Ishmanzada.
Very anxious to make some plays against his former team. And I think John Harbaugh put it best. He said, you know, we're no more talented than the 4-11 Cincinnati Bengals. And he said, you know, Mike Zimmer has often put together a game plan defensively that really have stifled him when we asked him, what's the reason for losing 3 straight to Cincinnati?
It's 3rd down and 10. Flacco, he's hit and dragged down. Looked like Michael Johnson. Got him with the left paw. Helped by Robert Gathers, but Johnson was the one to bring him down. His 2nd sack of the season. It's a loss of 6.
Mike Zimmer defense strikes again. Look at the push working against Michael Orr. Walks him right back into the quarterback, Joe Flacco. And this time Flacco can't escape because pressure was also caving in from the other side.
3rd sack on Flacco. Here comes the punt now from Sam Cook. John Harbaugh told us the other day he thinks he should have made the Pro Bowl. Terrific directional kicker. Quan Cosby will watch it on a bounce and let it roll. That's what he does as it continues to go, getting some nice distance here down to about the 12-yard line. Bengals will get it when we come back. 54-yard punt. Prescott Burgess down there covering for the Ravens. Another look. Quarterback Carson Palmer next. Carson Palmer today 17-24, but 2 picks. After the punt, 3 and out by Baltimore. 1st and 10. Cedric Benson. Blocked by Caldwell. And he picks up 3 on the play, and the tackle was eventually made by Jameel McClain as you take a look at the NFC playoff picture.
Yeah, 2 of the 4 playoff spots in the NFC remain up for grabs. The NFC West Division title on the line in tonight's game in Seattle against the Rams. And then Green Bay with a can clinch a playoff spot. Of course, if they lose and Tampa Bay is still alive, the New York Giants are still alive. Something tells me Green Bay has to take care of business against Chicago today.
Washington comes in for Greg. Baltimore's in the nickel, 2nd down and 7. Reggie Kelly against Ray Lewis. With the tackle made about the 17-yard line on a pickup of 3. Do you think Baltimore, seeing that Pittsburgh is going to easily breeze by Cleveland and get that number 2 seed, win the division, has lost a little bit of their gusto, perhaps, knowing that if the Steelers were trailing, they might mean something?
I think by virtue of the scoreboard, you know, they're only up 6-0. One can come to that conclusion, but let's face it, they've lost their last 3 games to Cincinnati. They've lost 6 of the last 8. I think the Bengals play the Baltimore Ravens as well as any team in the NFL.
Into the nickel on 3rd and 4. Short for Kaufman. Coverage by Reed, who's got 2 interceptions today. 3 and out.
James McClain, number 53, comes in and lays a lick on Carson Palmer. Watch on the delayed blitz. Here you see the hit there, and that's why Palmer was forced to get rid of it and throw it in the ground. Didn't want to risk putting the ball in harm's way, trying to extend that throw over to the sideline. He's looking at the official saying, hey, can the guy hit me that hard? You know, quarterbacks pretend to be a protected species.
Yeah, Jameel McClain with a nice bit of pressure. He's been playing well. Ardarius Webb with the flag, as you saw, and then brought down on the play by Vincent Ray. 51-yard punt, 1-yard return, and we talked about the flag. 11-10 to play here in the 3rd. It's been a busy crew today. A lot of flags. And a lot not accepted. A lot of penalties not accepted today, too. Pete Morelli.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 28 for the kicking team. Player went out of bounds, did not come back in bounds. 15-yard penalty, First down, timeout.
Bernard Scott. But he met no resistance on the sideline, even though he went out of bounds. That's been a story. Back here in Baltimore, so much to do, especially during the holiday season. After the punt by Cincinnati, 1st and 10. This is Ray Rice trying to work his way up. The ball was loose, as you can see. Michael Johnson stops him after a gain of 3 just beyond midfield. Out of the 49-yard line, they're going to say he was down. Quarterback and coaches, it's a very important relationship.
Otto Graham, Paul Brown, take a look at, and we're talking about the first 3 seasons for the coach and quarterback have been together, and John Harbaugh and Joe Flacco, 31 wins and 3 playoff appearances. Mike Smith and Matty Ice in Atlanta, 32 wins. Of course, they're looking for 33rd in the season finale today.
2nd down and 7. Saw the flag.
Ball start. Number 73 offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
Anquan Boldin, let's take a look at this once again. The penalty.
There you see the movement right there at the right tackle position. There was some movement. All you have to do is encroach if you're the defensive line. Go ahead and step into that neutral zone, and then they'll throw the flag. As long as you're pointing, they're not going to throw the flag. The offensive lineman is allowed to move as long as he has time to reset before the snap of the ball.
Makes it 2nd down and 12 with Rice. Great seam, terrific run. Reggie Nelson holding on for dear life. That run takes him down to the 43, picks up 11 yards.
Nice run coming off the right side of this offensive line. Take a look at it. And he's so good at bouncing and setting the edge. And now look at him accelerate onto the safety. Good tackle by Reggie Nelson. And this offense for the Baltimore Ravens, they've got to get it going. We talked about maybe they're a little bit flat, but in the past, 2 offensive touchdowns scored by the Baltimore Ravens in their last 3 games against the Cincinnati Bengals. And Ray Rice has held on to the ball. He's yet to fumble all season long.
3rd down, long one, and here is McGahee with LaRon McClain, and then another whistle. And it is LaRon. They've told us that endlessly this week. He used to be LaRon.
False start. Number 65 offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Chris Chester.
Oh, we talk about only 2 offensive touchdowns in their last 3 games against Cincinnati. It's hard for an offensive coordinator to stay on schedule with his play calling. As you take a look at Chester, who was penalized on the play, but when you continue to have setbacks, as you see Michael Orr, that's what you don't want going into the playoffs. Their left tackle Michael Orr comes up hobbled on that play.
Starting left tackle, move there is almost a permanent position now, and that is not good news.
There he is right there. He gets rolled up on the back of his legs to see if someone falls on it. Oh, he just buckles.
Well, you know, I think Carlos Dunlap was coming in off that line, and I think his leg caught Orr's. 3rd down and 6. Taking his place is O'Neal Cousins, and here they come. Dunlap is right there. One more sack, and that was it right there. He becomes the Bengals' all-time rookie leader in sacks. 4th registered by the defense. Loss of 8. They got to punt the ball.
Coming off the top, that record previously owned by Justin Smith and Carlos Dunlap. You know, he's one of those young players beginning to come on, and they really did struggle to get pressure on the quarterback in the first half of the season as of late, simply because he's played better. The pressure has improved.
Dunlap now 8 sacks in 6 games. Quan Cosby, fair caught about the 20-yard line on the punt by Sam Cook. Going to try to get an update on Orr. That's a big story right now for Baltimore. They're working on him on the sideline. There's a look at the newest Raven, Hauser, who's most recently with the Saints, taking the place of the injured Morgan Cox. 6 times he's had the long snap, all right on the money. Good job for him. They'll use him in the playoffs. Cox out for the year, the rookie with a knee. 1st down and 10. Recovered by the quarterback with Nada saying, I'll jump on your back. Loss of 2 on the play. And back to the 18-yard line, ringing the new year with the new episode of TV's #1 drama. Live 5-0. This new drama brought to you on CBS, an all-new Monday right here on CBS. 2nd down and 12. Second half possession for Carson Palmer. 3 and out the first time in there. Presley, the fullback, in motion. Simpson outside. Carr is on him, and he fumbled again. And that is recovered, but not a jumping on the ball at the 32-yard line. Simpson fumbles for a second time after a catch today.
Simpson simply doesn't secure the football, but give Chris Carr, the corner for the Baltimore Ravens, all the credit, because watch how he closes quickly. Really just closing in on Simpson. Now he just doesn't protect the football. He dropped it more than anything after his initial possession. But give Carr a lot of credit for just really closing the distance, putting the pressure on Simpson. Very young wide receiver who hasn't had a whole lot of experience in that situation. Just clearly drops the football after making the catch.
Neil Cousins still there at the left tackle. Here's a handoff, and it goes on 1st and 10 to a tripping Ray Rice. Almost looked like he just tripped off a cut. Williams right there, gain of 2 on the play. So Cincinnati is at 4. They're still working on the players over there. Simpson fumbles for a second time. Cincinnati 4 turnovers, 3 in their own territory.
See Mike Shepard, wide receiver coach, saying you've just got to do a better job. He's caught the ball very well, and you have to understand that after you hold on to it, you have to possess it. Ray Rice will tell you that.
It's 2nd down and 8. They're on McClain. Jonathan Joseph makes the stop near the 20-yard line. In fact, may have gotten a football's length inside the 20 with the gain of 6. Jones there as well.
Ray Rice, talk about ball protection. He hasn't fumbled at all this year. He fumbled a few times last year, particularly in a divisional playoff game against the Colts, but he's yet to put the ball on the ground and hasn't lost a fumble. And we talked with him when we met with him, Kevin. He says, hey, it's not a priority. It's my job. And Wilbert Montgomery, he put together drills to help his running backs to understand how he's got to hold on to it. There was a long rubber band that they attach to a football, and they have the running backs run as far as they can, and it's the tension and pressure that could yank that ball out of his ball carrier's hands. Excellent coaching by the Ravens.
Injured player was fullback Leron McClain. He walked off under his own power, or probably won't return. Knee sprain. 3rd and 2. Cousins will take his place. Flacco on the screws. Mason. Jonathan Joseph knocks him out of bounds at the 10. Gain of 11.
Just a beautiful route by Derek Mason. Watch the double move right there. Now watch him snap it off. He gets that head around, finds the ball. And if you're Jonathan Joseph, I don't know how you cover that any better. His ability to stop on a dime, get his head around and make the catch is incredible.
1st and goal. Rice. Malaluga is there. Also Rivers. Gain of 3 on the play. Down to about the 7. A little bit of housekeeping here on Flacco. He has, on this drive, gone over his career high in yards passed. He had to break the mark of 36-13. He's up to 36-26. That is a career high. Now he's only in his 3rd year. Every year he and Cam Cameron and John Harbaugh have gone to the playoffs. So far it's been a pretty good combination. 2nd down and goal at the 7. Rice remains. Nice hole. Rice slashing into the end zone for a Baltimore touchdown. That right side opened up a gigantic hole.
I love the way he pressed the hole, turning a turnover from Jerome Simpson into a touchdown. Watch him start one way, then the cut back. It's a nice jump cut as he accelerates through the middle of that Bengals defense to get it into the end zone.
So the Ravens cash in on the Simpson fumble. His 2nd today, holding on to the ball. That's one way coaches get that point across. Rice goes in for the rushing touchdown, his 5th of the season. And with Cundiff, one more through. 13-0 with 5:47 to play in the 3rd. Now a 2-score game as the Ravens are shutting out the Bengals. Ray Rice, he's been running well last couple of weeks, going in from 7 right there, taking advantage of the fumble by Simpson.
He came in that same draft class with Joe Flacco. It's not Ozzie Newsome does a wonderful job of drafting players and plugging them right in. You hit the bonanza with Joe Flacco, but boy, you also hit it big when you draft Ray Rice.
out of Rutgers. A nice combination they've been for this team. Here's the kickoff. Cundiff, and it is a touchback. That's the second. Cundiff gets it. He now has tied Mitch Berger's NFL record of 40 touchbacks, or is that is? He ties it. Mitch Berger kicked for the Minnesota Vikings. Remember, 8 of his games every year were indoors. This guy plays outdoors most of the time. That is a single season record. Now remember also, they moved the ball from the kickoff position of the 35 back to the 30 back in 1994. Here is a 1st and 10. Andre Caldwell dancing his way. Cody is in pursuit. Coming in on this defensive possession, brings him down. Gain of 9 out to the 29-yard line.
Yeah, Bengals have turned the ball over, giving the Ravens extra chances. Ball intended for Caldwell, intercepted by Ed Reed, and then Simpson fumbles, stripped of the ball by Chris Carr. Another tip and overthrow, intercepted by Reed, and then Simpson puts it on the ground again. The second fumble of the day for him, so 2 Carson Palmer interceptions. 2 Jerome Simpson fumbles lead to 4 turnovers on the day by the Cincinnati Bengals offense.
2nd down and 1. Cedric Benson, 1st down. Darius Webb taking the place of the injured Josh Wilson, who got hurt earlier in the game, is the one who makes the stop. Webb making the stop. Well, the technical manager of our crew is Steve McCune. He is set to retire after today's game. His career in television started in 1957. He has been a sensational friend and a colleague to many of us here at CBS. 53 years. Stevie Mack, we're going to miss you. I want to wish you the very best in retirement. You are one of the reasons why CBS has got the reputation it does. And we thank you for endless hours to make our job easier.
Number 93, the defense, 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Corey Redding, who's almost underappreciated on that line. He's been terrific the last month.
Here you see jumping off sides. You know, you talk about Stevie Mack. You know, CBS a special place to work because of special people like Stevie, and we're going to miss you, buddy.
CBS has a lot of guys like that. A lot of people that have been here for decades. 1st and 5. They've been back here when CBS was going on with the NFL back in the 1960s. Cedric Benson. He was hit initially by Jameel McClain, and then Jared Johnson jumps on his back along with DeJuan Landry in the secondary. It's a gain of 8 to the 49 and a 1st down.
You know, we talked about Ray Rice. Said Benson on the other side. He can heat it up just as well. Cincinnati Bengals want to get back into this game. They might want to start by putting some points on the board on this possession. But if you're Said Benson, he, unlike Ray Rice, he has fumbled 5 times this year.
Paul Kruger comes on that defensive line. 1st and 10. Reggie Kelly is back there with Benson. Said Benson. Kelly with a nice block. And gain of 5 on the play. Jared Johnson was there. And Ray Lewis making another stop. Ray Lewis has just been all over the field today. Pro Bowler, as we mentioned before, back in the 1st half for a 12th time in his Hall of Fame career. Well, you know you're good when you got the officials helping you with your jersey.
Oh, yeah.
See that, huh? They ever help you with your jersey?
Never.
Yeah.
Trust me, you know, Ray Lewis, you're talking a whole nother level. He makes us all better, including the officials.
Benson. And a little block up there by Dennis Rowland on a gain of 4 down to the 39-yard line. Host of guys bring him down. 5 made the Pro Bowl this year for Baltimore.
Yeah, 4 on defense, including Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Elodie Nada. And, you know, many would argue Jared Johnson. You can't send them all to the Pro Bowl, but there's 4 guys in Cundiff, obviously, on special teams. Not surprising when Coach Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, remember, broke into the league as a special teams coach.
Gregg and McKinney on that defensive line. 3rd and 1. Benson. Oh, nice stop right there by Jameel McClain coming from the wing. Gregg also plugging up the gap for Baltimore.
Well, you love the way they're able to get defenders into the backfield of the Cincinnati Bengals. If you're the Baltimore Ravens, watch 55, watch Suggs. He's the first penetrator. And then that forces Ed Benson to change his course of direction, allowing the other defenders to get to the point.
4th and 1, and they think, at least the Bengals are motioning, they think that they got Baltimore to jump. Now the question is, were they induced?
Kelly Gregg.
Defense, encroachment, number 97.
Wow.
5-yard penalty, and the result of the penalty is a first down.
Watch big 97 right there. There he is. Trying to get the jump, trying to time the snap more so than watching the football. That's where he got himself into trouble.
Kelly Gregg, an original Cincinnati draft choice. Back in the 6th round, handful of years ago, many years ago.
Yeah, out of the University of Oklahoma. Yeah. He was a fine player there.
He was a state wrestling champion in that state for a couple years in a row.
Can't you tell?
Yeah, I can. Rickoff. Here's a 1st and 10. Outside they go. Benson. And he's hit by Landry. Down to about the 27-yard line. Gain of 8.
Quick throw and catch over to Sid Benson coming out of the backfield. Carson Palmer getting rid of the ball quickly. Now it's a race to the edge. Can you make that first defender miss? LaRon Landry able to make the tackle on Benson.
2nd down and 2. Benson. They're trying to block, but they can't get a hold of Corey Redding. Here is a big-time free agent. Goes in for a loss of 3 right there, back to the 30-yard line.
So Carson Palmer checks to the run, but if you're the Ravens, you know they're going to check to the open side, so you slant everyone on the line that way. You really entice the Bengals to run to that open side, but the slanting of your defense allows you to really slam underneath the offensive line and get penetration into the backfield and make the tackle on the opposing line of scrimmage.
Washington comes in. Baltimore is in the nickel. 3rd and 5. Carson Palmer. Come back. Looks like they got the first down with the coverage across the way on Simpson by Lardarius Webb. He picks up 6 on 3rd and 5. Moved the chains. 24-yard line of Baltimore.
All right, Webb's a young defender. He's got to know when they're blitzing, ball's coming out right away. Try to jump that route and close down the cushion on the wide receiver.
Only touchdown today with the Reed 2 interceptions was Rice. 4 turnovers by Cincinnati today. 2 Reed interceptions of Palmer. 7-yard touchdown run by Rice. And again, the defense stout in that 3rd quarter. You got to go back to November of 2009 to find the last time this defense of Baltimore has allowed a touchdown in the 3rd, led by Ray Lewis.
Wow, the most since what, 1950?
It's something.
Dominant in the 3rd quarter.
10th play of the drive. 1st and 10, starting the 4th. Like said, Benson just kind of tripped right there. And jumping on him was Terrence Cody. No gain. They stay where they are. 2nd down and 10.
You know, John Harbaugh talked about it. Everybody talks about the blown 4th quarter leads by his football team. And in fact, they've blown the 4th quarter lead in every single loss they've had this year against Cincinnati, New England, Atlanta, and Pittsburgh. He says, but you know, we track our defense by points allowed. And you know, they rank in the top 3 in the National Football League. And it could be the 3rd consecutive year where they finished in the top 5.
2nd down and 10. Benson. Gain of 2. Jameel McClain brings them down. And they'll put the ball at the 22-yard line. You know, by now, if you've been following this game, you see the crawl on the bottom of your screen. Pittsburgh is clobbering Cleveland. That means if it continues and Baltimore goes on to win, of course, we're going to see a 5th-seeded Raven team in the playoffs.
Yeah, they were hoping that Cleveland could beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and if they would have won today, they could have elevated to that number 2 seed. But by virtue of the fact that they've already beaten the Jets this year, they could be no worse than a 5th seed in the AFC playoff picture.
That crawl's been fun to watch today about that Pittsburgh game in Cleveland. 3rd down and 8. Pierman in the backfield. The blitz by Nakamura. Flag was thrown near the line of scrimmage.
Delay of game. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
And becomes 3rd and 13.
Yep, got to be able to get the play in, get up to the line of scrimmage, get the ball snapped 10 straight quarters versus the Baltimore Ravens without scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, they had 5 field goals in that second week of the season when they beat them 15-10.
And that's why we talk about this Ravens defense has been more dominant, I think, than some people want to give it credit for.
6 defensive backs, including Washington and Nakamura. 3rd and 13. Caldwell right in front of Webb at the 11-yard line. Good catch by Andre Caldwell. You recall last season he had a game-winning catch at 22 yards and a touchdown to beat Baltimore.
Beautiful throw. Look at the timing of this throw and then catch. Just laying it out there for Caldwell. How many times have we seen Carson Palmer throw that ball to some of his veteran receivers and receiver not fight to get in front of the defenders, resulted into an interception, something that Carson Palmer has had to live with all season long, but appears to be developing greater chemistry with these younger group of receivers.
As you see, over 8 minutes on this Cincinnati drive. They started back at their 20-yard line. 1st and 10 to the end zone, and Simpson against Webb. It is a touchdown. An 11-yard hit, and Jerome Simpson, who's fumbled twice today, a bit of revenge on Webb, and the Bengals are back in business.
This is just anticipation by Palmer. Watch the throw. He cuts it loose early, expecting the receiver to hit that back pylon. That's where the ball is thrown to. That's the mark. 2 feet in for Jerome Simpson. Somewhat of a redemption. The Bengals are now within striking distance of taking the lead.
Stitzer for the extra point. He's missed 2 this season in 9 tries. But not here. 13-7 with 12:24 to play in the 4th quarter. Simpson has been an emerging star late in the year for the Bengals. Good looking drive by the Cincinnati Bengals. Over 8 minutes on the clock, 13 plays. The 11-yard touchdown pass from Palmer to Simpson. Simpson on the day, 10 catches, 89 yards. And think how big now that interception thrown by Palmer in the end zone to Reed and the missed field goal are right now. That's 10 points that they left on the field.
Well, they've had some opportunities. Keep in mind, of the 4 wins, 3 of the 4 last wins that the Bengals have had against the Ravens, they've come from behind to win it in the 4th quarter.
This is Jalen Parmalee. He gets a block from Nakamura. Brought down by Quan Cosby and by Williams. A 29-yard return. Here are some of the plays on that drive that set it up. Caldwell had a big one, ending with Simpson on the 11-yard strike. Take a look at some of the notes on the Bengals. They've had some comeback wins. 1st and 10. Here is a handoff to Rice, who's taken down by Michael Johnson after a gain of 5 to the 36-yard line. The AFC playoff picture. The 5th seed looks to be Baltimore. Pittsburgh looks to win today. They'll win the division off week 1. Home field throughout, and they're the North champions.
Another game to keep an eye on is the game in Indianapolis. If the Colts beat the Tennessee Titans, they'll clinch a division title and be the 4th seed in the AFC.
38-3 is that Pittsburgh score right now as you're watching on that crawl on the bottom of your screen. 2nd down and 5. A nice play right there by Johnson again, upending Rice in a loss of a yard. Back to the 36-yard line.
And this Cincinnati Bengals defense continues to give the Baltimore Ravens fits. And their ability to get penetration and blow up the run play. They get Mike Zimmer, defensive coordinator for the Bengals. He's really got this defense to improve. I thought they really played atrocious the first half of the season, but they haven't given up. They've put some younger players in there. They sustained a lot of injuries on the defensive line and in the secondary, but they have improved in the second half of the season.
Nickel out there, 3rd down and 6. Holden's been shut out, by the way, in the second half. Chasing him is Atkins. Throws it away. A 3-and-out for Baltimore. This is the 3rd 3-and-out in 4 second-half possessions.
Yeah, and watch, you have Roy Williams at the top of your screen. He goes too far up the field. It allows Flacco to flush out to his left, but still under pressure, still taking a hit. You mentioned they've gone 3 and out. The offense has to play what we call complementary football. Maintain possession of the ball, allow the defense to rest. Ed Reed talked about it. You start getting up to 70, 80 snaps in this game. That's why they've given up those fourth quarter leads.
New long snapper Kevin Hauser today has been spot on. Cook will punt. Quan Cosby is back for the Cincinnati Bengals. The 12. Nice pursuit downfield by Baltimore's Kerry Williams. 51-yard punt. Ravens just punted, 3 plays punt. Last time Cincinnati had it, they kept that Baltimore defense on the field for a long time. Solomon was just talking about the 11-yard touchdown pass the Bengals did from Palmer to Simpson. Here's a 1st and 10. With a quick hitter, Simpson again. Chris Carr on the tackle. Near the 28-yard line, will mark it at the 29. It's a 15-yard catch. The biggest event of the new year begins with a single step. Join Paula Abdul for the premiere of Live to Dance. That's Tuesday, only on CBS, 8, 7 Central. 1st and 10 from the 30. This with a nice bounce outside with the run, and then the tackle made by Reed in the secondary. Bernard Scott, a burst of 12 to the 42 and a 1st down.
And right now is this defense beginning to wear down. Take a look at it. Look how they were able to seal off Ray Lewis and company and then get to the second level of the defense. And Ed Reed talked about this. He says, look, we need help from our offense. We need them to sustain possessions. And when we have to play 75, 80 snaps a game, that's when we have had the tendency to give up the leads in ball games.
Scott remains 1st down and 10. Burrowing. Ooh, and they're going to find a little extra juice right there before Jared Johnson among a couple to bring him down. On a gain of 6 up to the 48-yard line. I guess the question now is, with Pittsburgh going to win easily in Cleveland, a meaningless game for Baltimore in terms of where they could be in the playoffs, do you begin to pull some guys now and rest for the fear of injury? I mean, it's always got to be in the mind of a guy like John Harbaugh.
And I think it's a good question, but when we talked to Coach Harbaugh, what did he tell us? We have a number of reasons for wanting to win this game. He said, we want to win 12 games this year. And, you know, for the sake of momentum entering the postseason, they also want to win this ball game.
Palmer into the nickel on 2nd down and 4. Kelly makes the stop. And the tackle made by Ray Lewis, gain of 3. Let's go to New York and James Brown.
Kevin and Solomon, take a look here. Michael Bush for the Raiders, getting it done. A 26-yard TD run, capping a 9-play, 75-yard drive. Oakland on top. If KC loses, it opens the door for Indy. Indy would move to the number 3 seed. If they win, Kansas City would fall to the 4th seed. Kevin, Harlan and Solomon Wilcox.
That's a good mention. Kansas City has won every game at home this year. Raiders are 7-8. They have a chance to go to 500. And you know what? For them, this is their playoff game against the Chiefs.
And how about the Oakland Raiders? If they win that game in Kansas City, they would have gone undefeated in the AFC West.
Good point.
And not have made the playoffs. That would be the first time in NFL history that's happened, where you swept your division and not made it into the postseason.
Cody and Greg and McKinney coming out there in that defensive line for Baltimore. This will be a 3rd and 1. 3 times they've tried a 3rd and 1, and they've been stuffed those 3 times. So Benson is back in. And Chris Presley is right ahead of him. Benson, he's carved the 1st down. Tackled by Prescott Burgess. It's a gain of 2 to the 47. Let's go to New York and James.
All right, Kevin and Solomon, let's take a look here. Buccaneers. Josh Freeman off of a Drew Brees fumble, hooking up with Mike Williams, 18-yard strike. Tampa Bay on top. Bucs need a win and losses by the Giants and Packers to get to the postseason. It looks like New Orleans will be the 5th seed, Atlanta the number 1 seed. Falcons spanking Carolina in that action. Kevin and Solomon.
Got it, JB. Thank you. Bernard Scott in the backfield. Here comes Dwan Landry. Gain of about a yard, perhaps we'll call it 2, down to the 45. One quick note, just think about New Orleans. If Seattle would beat St. Louis, Seattle and St. Louis going for the NFC West division title, you're going to have a team that may have to make a trip all the way across the country to take on a team with a losing record come the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and anytime you go on the road to play at Quest Field in Seattle, that's not an easy proposition regardless of their overall record.
If they win, if St. Louis wins, of course, they'll host in the Dome in downtown St. Louis, 2nd down and 8. And Scott, he got by one defender, then Reed brings him down with DeJuan Landry. Fabian Washington just about had him. It's a gain of 9. It's another first down and a player again down.
And take a look here, the unblocked defender, you've got to make that tackle if you're Webb. But give Bernard Scott a lot of credit for making a miss in the open field. But if you're Webb, you've got to be able to secure that tackle. Look at Ed Reed. He's beginning to slow down. I think he's wearing down a bit. He talked to us about it. He's still in the game. He's a guy that's battled some injuries this year, and I'm sure he's wondering why is he still in the game at this point, but he's a competitor.
First down and 10 for Carson Palmer, chased by Ray Lewis. Webb gets in the way of Andre Caldwell. I said Washington on that last play, and I meant Webb, and thank you for the correction. That's an incomplete pass. It'll be 2nd down and 10. But now Webb, Webb's going to become an important guy because Wilson is out today. We don't know how long Wilson's going to be out.
Yeah, Webb nearly had himself an interception. I think he and Carr have to be able to play much better, come up with some interception, make some plays on the ball, as you saw him do right there, preventing the completion.
9th play of the drive, 2nd down and 10. That defense of Baltimore has been out there a long time. A screen, Scott. He had Williams out there blocking, and then Jarrett Johnson out of Alabama. There with the stop on a gain of 8 and mark him at the 26.
Right now, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, I would be concerned because the Bengals are ripping off yards by the chunks. And this defense appears to be wearing down, and they appear to have no answers for what the Bengals are doing offensively. As you see Joe Flacco looking on offensively, they have no answers, not able to sustain drives and keeping this defense on the field. Look like they're ready to give up another 4th quarter lead.
With Pierman in the backfield, it's 3rd and a long 1. Off the fingertips of Kaufman. Coverage by Landry. 4th and 1. They'll stay with the offense. No, they're going to bring out their field goal unit. He came out initially, did stitch, and then he walked back, and Palmer waved him off, and sure enough, they're going to try it for 3, which makes sense, obviously. 5:44 to play. I guess it makes sense. What do you think?
Well, receiver was open. Carson Palmer threw the ball high, and they are going to fake it. Looks as if they're going to go for it. That's Jordan Palmer, Carson's brother, in the backfield.
He is 3 of 3, and they quickly call a timeout. That's what the confusion was. Palmer waved him off. The kicker came on. The kicker went off. Palmer was going to stay, and then they reversed it again. And so that's where there was the confusion. So it's an interesting call here for Marvin Lewis.
But they're still going to go for it. What's there to lose? You're 4-11, and you have the Baltimore Ravens on the ropes. You create a first down here, or possibly a touchdown, and boy, that swings the momentum in your favor. And the holder, of course, is Kevin Huber. So when we saw him come out, we knew there was some trickery, although the backup holder is Jordan Palmer. That's a lot of 4th quarter conversion. Look at the percentage. You convert 13 of your 17 4th down opportunities. They need just one more. All right, here's a 4th and 1. You know, you're 4-11. Why not try for it? I mean, honest to goodness. And you're moving well. The defense is a little winded. That's Pierman in the backfield. Got man-to-man coverage. He may take a shot. To Pierman. He's got the first down with a nice push there by Nate Lynn. Or did he get the first down? I don't know. I'm not so sure. His momentum was taking him that way, and then he was wrapped up, and there just wasn't a lot of. He was going that way, but did he get beyond the first down mark? He didn't. It looked like he did not. Suggs was there. Nope, did not get it. Boy, his momentum looked like he was going to get that first. Yeah, take a look at it. He needs to hit at least that 25-yard line, and then you could see clearly short of it. Landry was at the tip of the spear that time with the defensive avalanche of players. Look at that. There's a little Suggs right-hand shot. No one saw that. Ravens will take over.
Ravens get it back. A 4th and 1, unsuccessful by Cincinnati from the 26-yard line. It's 1st and 10 for Flacco. And today, Joe, 13-29 through the air. 1 pick. Rice, he's got a 7-yard touchdown run. Ran into O'Neal. Cousins is taking the place at the left tackle of Michael Ward. There's no gain on the play. Michael Johnson is there once again to stuff it. He's had a nice game defensively for the Bengals.
I think you have to love the intensity in which many of these young Cincinnati Bengals, look at it. There's Johnson right there coming off the block to make a play. But these young players, Carlos Dunlap and Michael Johnson, Jerome Simpson, really battling to try to win a ball game for this football team. You could tell these are young guys who have their eyes set on the future.
Well, let's talk about that now for Baltimore. How are you assessing what they've done today? You see the rushing yard stat and some other things are going to flip up there. How are you assessing how they played today against a team that has really had their number 3 straight games?
Yeah, it's a team that has their number. Now, if they remain number 5, and if Kansas City, that score holds up and they lose to Oakland, that means Kansas City is going to be the 4 seed, and that means they'll host the Baltimore Ravens 1 week from now. Anytime you go outside of your division, teams are less familiar with you.
2nd and 10. They're on the plane, and he slipped on the play, lost 4. With his offensive performance, they'll continue as Roy Williams over there to make this stop. I mean, it's not been the kind of crisp offense you'd like to see before the playoffs.
And they played well in the previous weeks against the Cleveland Browns, against the New Orleans Saints, where this offense has played well. Now, they have not played well, particularly the last 3 times they've played the Cincinnati Bengals defense. So is it something about the Bengals defense, or is it something about the Baltimore Ravens offense against other opponents? I think they played well against other opponents. Hey, Marvin Lewis used to be the defense coordinator here. I think he knows this team well. He knows the mindset, and he's locked in.
On a 3rd and 14. Again, they're after Flacco. Again, they bring him down. This time, Geno Atkins makes the stop. Here come the boos. He gains 3. They got a punt as we send you to New York.
All right, Kevin and Solomon, off of a Matt Castle pick, Jacoby Ford of Oakland capitalizes on an end-around 10 yards to pay dirt, 24-10 Oakland. That opens the door for Indy if KC loses and Indy wins. Indy moves to the number 3 seed, KC to the 4th. Kevin Harlan, Solomon Wilcox.
Has there been a more explosive rookie than Jacoby Ford out of Clemson for the Raiders?
I'm telling you right now, we've seen him before in terms of his kick return abilities, and as a wide receiver, he'll pluck the ball and take it from you and make something happen.
That ball may have been deflected. Sam Cook is the one who sent it downfield, but either Jeremy Miles or Brandon Johnson may have deflected that punt. Cook has ticked off, 28-yarder. Cook has had a terrific season.
And now we're starting to see, I think, in this second half where I think this could have been tipped, where the Baltimore Ravens just look less than crisp. And John Harbaugh cannot be happy with the way they're finishing this game because, you know, he talked about, wanting to win, possible for a number 2 seed. They're not going to get that with the way Pittsburgh has played against the Cleveland Browns. But he wants a 12th win, and more than anything, as you can see the frustration on his face, he wants his team playing well, developing excellent confidence and momentum heading into the playoffs.
So Baltimore with a 3 and out and 4 of their last 5 possessions. Give it up, 1st and 10. There's a nice play by Nakamura. Rookie Nakamura from Cleveland into the University of Cincinnati. And a loss on the play of a yard. Coming up next, the playoff picture becomes clear. The AFC South is still up for grabs. Colts need a win against the Titans, and the Jaguars will travel to Houston to take on the Titans. Also the Chargers and the Broncos. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. 2nd down and 11. Palmer today, 27 of 37. 1 touchdown to Simpson, 2 interceptions, 1 to Reed in the end zone. Plenty of time. Hoffman, Jarrett Johnson on his tail. Flag has been thrown. Gain as it stands now, 14 yards to the 40-yard line.
Looks like it may be against the Baltimore Ravens.
Holding number 55 of the defense. Penalty will be declined. The result of the play is a 1st down.
That's 4-time Pro Bowler Terrell Suggs, who picks it up, who, by the way, was the AFC Defensive Player of the Month in November. He's had a sensational season for John Harbaugh.
Greg Madison's group,
Yes.
the defense coordinator for the Ravens, and he's got to come up with one more, possibly one more signature stop, because Carson Palmer and their offense, they're one play away from taking the lead in this ball game.
We saw Reed leave the last series. Reed is out still, and Nakamura taking his place. 1st and 10. Blocked by Collins. Dumps it off to the fullback Presley. Came off the Cincinnati practice squad back in the early part of December. Picks up 6 right there. And on his tail across the way, Jameel McClain to the 34.
And Kevin, keep in mind, the Cincinnati Bengals are in 4-down mode. So while they're facing 2nd down, you got to believe they're going to even use a 4th down to try to create a 1st down opportunity. And field goal would do them no good in this situation.
2nd down and 4. Benson down to about the 33-yard line. McClain probably had a hand on him. I'm looking at the time of possession. The Bengals 33 minutes, 40 seconds and ticking. 24 minutes offensive possession time for Baltimore. That means that defense has been out there a long time for the Ravens.
Absolutely, and you can see as we get close to the 2-minute warning, the Bengals are in no hurry. They're thinking touchdown or bust.
3rd and 2. We have reached the 2-minute warning. They're on the move. Palmer and the Bengals have beaten the Ravens 3 consecutive times. They're on the move again here. And at the 2-minute warning, a 3rd down and 2 coming up for Carson Palmer. They're on the move. They trail, as you can see, 13-7. Nickel secondary for the Ravens. Whitworth with a nice block. That was on Jared Johnson. He fumbled the ball. Ray Lewis has got it. Another Cincinnati turnover. And for those of you just joining us, Ray Lewis has just jumped on a fumble by Cincinnati quarterback Carson Palmer. Baltimore, 5 takeaways today.
He sees Ray Lewis, and then panic sets in. See, he drops the ball because Ray Lewis was closing in from 1. So there's the drop of the ball. The Bengals' inability to secure the football today has cost them the ball game. 5 turnovers on the day for the Bengals, 3 by Carson Palmer.
Of course, the Ravens have been so good in the takeaway giveaway all season long. Taking over at their 29, 1st and 10. Ray Rice, who's got a 7-yard touchdown run today, slashing up the middle. He fumbles the ball. That's vacuumed in, and this is, and they say he was down. I was going to say that Leon Hall looked like he was off to the races, but they're going to mark him down at about the 37-yard line is Rice, who doesn't fumble that much.
Well, he hasn't fumbled all season. At least he hasn't fumbled and lost one.
Right.
As you clearly see, there's a fumble. There's contact with the ground. He is considered down by contact.
The elbow.
Right there. Contact, then the elbow makes contact with the ground. Quickly, the ball comes out.
That's 408 carries without a fumble. He had a fumbling issue in year 2 as a rookie. He was fine. But after game 11 last season, he began to have a problem with the fumble. He's talking about, I'm going to hold that ball up and tight. Up and tight.
He said it's not a priority, it's my job.
Yes,
I think Wilbur Montgomery has impressed that upon the young running back.
Bengals have won the time of possession today. Ed Reed has had 2 interceptions, as he did last week. One of those interceptions by Reed was in the end zone. So Reed has 4 interceptions in the last 2 games. Jerome Simpson, who has been emerging the last couple weeks in the absence of the injured Ocho Cinco, has had a big day receiving, including a touchdown pass, the 11 for 104 yards. But the 2 fumbles are a concern. 3 turnovers by Carson Palmer himself, including, as I mentioned before, the end zone interception by Reed.
Wow, that's something that lingers into the offseason in the mind of a competitive quarterback like Carson Palmer. And Ray Lewis makes the play. And who else would come up with the football? As we told you, even in our open, the veteran players on this team tend to make plays at critical moments.
Reed, by the way, now with 8 interceptions on the season. They're going to review that previous play as you take a look at the playoff picture. Kansas City on their way to a loss to the Raiders. They drop in the equation, and we know that Colt game hosting the Tennessee Titans and the Texans hosting Jacksonville will decide who wins the South.
Yeah, and who wins that last remaining playoff spot in the AFC. If Indy wins over Tennessee Titans, they'll clinch it and a number 3 seed.
They had some significant injuries today too for Baltimore as this was being reviewed on the field.
But it's a booth review.
Yes, because we're under 2 minutes.
To take a look at it. But you saw the contact and you saw the elbow hit the ground. Then ball came out. So there's initial contact, bam. He's considered down by contact at that point once his elbow touched the ground. Because Reggie Nelson's able to make the tackle or get to the legs of Rice, you could see contact there, then ball comes out.
It was Nelson who has an interception today, upending Ray Rice. We also have mentioned today, too, some significant injuries for this playoff-bound Baltimore Raven team. Josh Wilson, starting cornerback, left early with a shoulder stinger.
Runner was down by contact, second down.
They'll keep the ball. Michael Orr, their starting left tackle, is out with a knee sprain. We've not seen him since he left. And then Ed Reed got an injury. Looked like maybe his neck or his shoulder area. He has not returned. So those will all be updated after the game, and things of particular interest as this week leading to the playoffs goes on.
Yeah, remember Ed Reed was injured after making an interception against Cleveland and missed a day of practice with that neck injury.
And LeRon McClain on 2nd down and 1. No gain on the play as they stack him up. Timeouts. Cincinnati with 1, Baltimore with 2. And we have another timeout in the last one taken by the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals red zone struggles today. Solomon, interception by Reed in the end zone. They also missed a 29-yard field goal in a 6-point game.
And they reached the threshold of forcing the Baltimore Ravens defense to play 70 snaps in today's game. And one could argue if Carson Palmer doesn't turn that ball over, Ravens defense was showing signs of wearing down. The Bengals had an opportunity to win today. There is no doubt about it, even after the previous 4 turnovers. But that 5th one, I think, is going to prove to be costly.
There's a look at Ray Lewis, who just recovered that fumble. There's Marvin Lewis, and of course, this is the final game of his contract. A lot of talk in Cincinnati about will he be back. 3rd and 1. Ray Rice, no gain.
I think when you talk about Marvin Lewis and the job he's done, let's be honest. 2 division titles in the 8 seasons he's been the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. In the previous 15 years, they couldn't even get a whiff of the playoffs. And I think what has to happen with the Cincinnati Bengals is the coach and the organization must come to some philosophical and fundamental agreement as to how they're going to take the organization forward, how they're going to get it to the next level. I think that has to be the fundamental understanding.
Here's Sam Cook. They got great penetration the last time he punted. There is a move. Was it a false start by Baltimore?
False start. Number 51, kicking team. 5-yard penalty remains, 4th down.
Ian Badejo, who's a Pro Bowler, is a special teamer.
What did Marvin Lewis tell us when we asked him, hey, do you want to come back? Remember, turned down a contract extension at the end of last year. And he says, hey, what we're doing here, our work is not done yet. Now, I don't know what that ultimately means. And it certainly doesn't tell us if he will be back. I'm sure there's going to be a meeting on Monday, and they're going to sit down and discuss it.
Cook. And there's no yellow, although he was hit. And this is Quan Cosby back about the 16-yard line. And he was tripped up by the tight end Dixon. 16-yard return, 55-yard punt. There's no yellow where the punter was knocked down. It was almost blocked. Just that close. And it was the reserve running back Pearman, a former Baltimore draft choice in 09, who just about got a hand on the ball. So with no timeouts, here comes Carson Palmer from his 31, 1st and 10. Still no Ed Reed. He is still out. In the nickel, the defense of the Ravens. Nakamura taking the place of Reed. Going deep, and he's got Caldwell, who beats Webb, and he gets out of bounds and stops the clock with the ball placed at the 30-yard line of Baltimore on a 39-yard strike to Caldwell from Palmer.
And I'm sure the Baltimore Ravens, everyone here at M&T Bank Stadium saying, are you kidding me? Palmer recognizes the one-on-one coverage. That's the receiver he was going to give an opportunity to make a play on the ball. And after the fumble on the last possession, what a throw from Carson Palmer.
And Webb, remember, taking the place of the starter Wilson. We mentioned this just earlier, that he was injured earlier in the game. Webb is coming to take his place. 1st and 10 from the 30. No timeouts for Palmer. And he's got Simpson at about the 10. Working on Landry. Markham at the 11. 19-yard pickup. And another first down for Cincinnati, a team that has beaten Baltimore 3 consecutive times.
Way too easy. Comes inside. And look, they pass him off. Landry playing over the top. That cover 2 safety. You've got to shrink the cushion at the second level. This is too easy for Carson Palmer. And Greg Madison and his defense, they have to be tremendously concerned.
Cedric Pierman will be in the backfield with Palmer. Shipley, the slot receiver, 1st and 10 from the 11. To the 2, Caldwell, and belted on the play after an 8-yard pickup. No timeouts. They'll clock it. So that was
silence.
Right. 19 seconds. That's now 3rd and 2 on that 2nd down and 2. Now 3rd and 2. Palmer today, a touchdown pass of 11 yards and 2 interceptions. For Caldwell against Webb. 16 seconds remaining. 4th and 2. With the playoff-bound Baltimore Ravens staggering today, it has not been a very good day for John Harbaugh's team. The defense has been on the field a lot of minutes against Marvin Lewis in the final game of his contract. Bengals have beaten Baltimore 3 consecutive times, including earlier this year in week 2, 15-10. 4th and 2. Palmer. Oh, he overshot Pierman. Washington was covering on downs. It goes back to Baltimore. With 10 seconds remaining, Cincinnati can't stop the clock. And that will give the Ravens their 12th win of the season. Seems like we've seen this story before.
Palmer's trying to be elusive in the pocket, but he overshoots Pierman. Look, he's got to make that completion. Even if it's intercepted, you can't care. You've got to throw a ball well enough to be completed, to give Pierman a chance to make the catch.
So they'll fall on the ball, and that'll be it. The Ravens will finish 12-4 for the 2nd time in team history. The all-time best regular season record back in 06 when they went 13-3. And for Carson Palmer in Cincinnati, their 2-game winning streak is stopped. They'll end the season 4-12, road record of 1-7, and with a lot of uncertainty headed toward the offseason.
If you're Carson Palmer, you say, well, what do I have to do to get better in that situation? It's about technique. It's about fundamental. Setting your feet to make the throw. And his inability to do that is why the ball sailed high on him over the head of Pierman.
Referee is Pete Morelli, and he is going to check with the timeout coordinator on the field, who has direct access to the NFL booth here at the stadium in downtown Baltimore. Joe Flacco today, 14 of 19, 125 yards. He finishes the season with a new career high in passing yards. He is a third-year player, and he and his coach, also a third-year head coach, one of just a very select few that have made the playoffs in their first 3 years in those positions. As a first-time quarterback, as a starter, and as a first-time head coach.
76 snaps for the defense for the Baltimore Ravens. And John Harbaugh breathing a huge sigh of relief.
And how about that defense of Baltimore? Their third red zone stop today of the Cincinnati offense led by Carson Palmer. And none all season long until today. That's it. Ravens finish 12-4, home record of 7-1, and they get ready to go into the postseason tournament, the NFL playoffs, with a 12-4 record. They prevail today. Rice with a touchdown, run the difference. Solomon Wilcott's Kevin Harlan. The Burger King update is coming up next with highlights and scores right here on CBS.